Hello again, my friends. My abject apologies for such a long delay again. Lots have happened for me, some good, some not so good, but the biggest one right now is my tooth, which has been giving me problems since the start of the year. Now, I did a partial root canal, but that didn't work, and now it's flared up big time. If I never understood the phrase "in pain like a giant with a toothache" before, I sure do now. And in fact, I'm hoping to get to a surgery tomorrow to remove, if not replace, my tooth. So I thought I'd really push forward this long overdue video. And if I speak with a bit of a lisp, you know why. I've said that Series 8 has a mix of the weird and the traditional, and today we're reviewing one of the more traditional ones, the Eternal Dragon. Now, thus far, the Eternal class have given us some of the most beautiful, in fact, I might say even ephemeral dragons in the McFarlane line. If you recall, perhaps the most beautiful dragon I have is the Series 5 Eternal Dragon. But Series 8 seems to buck this trend, and it seems to have a very loose wing as well. We have here one that is the more archetypal Dungeons and Dragons type of dragon, embodying strength, bulk, and ferocity. So let's first talk about the overall build and posture of the dragon. Now, this is a very solidly built and a true dragon. 4 limbs and 2 wings. Every limb contributes to a very aggressive pose. Now, this is a dragon that either feels threatened, spooked, and every contortion here is a warning. It's lashing out against a perceived threat, and you can imagine these very powerful hind legs ready to push off against this rock and launch itself into the offensive. Now, let me just show you that from any angle, you'll see a very dynamic pose. Any angle. And this works wonderfully in large part because of the way these curves here up at the neck and the body, how well these curves play off against each other. Now, somewhat unusually for the Eternals is that this is a very heavily muscled dragon, not just here in the thighs. In the very, very thick pectoral muscles, they actually stand out in very nice relief. These back muscles, look at the thickness of those lats. This very thick coiled neck, and this very, very muscular and massive tail. Now, if you look at the side of the neck, you'll see that it's not just a flat piece, but a separate corded piece of muscle just popping out on the side. And that separate muscle goes down all the way here and joins up very nicely with the pectoral muscles. Now, the wings are robust, and if you look here at the musculature of the wing arms, you know that this was definitely a flyer. Now, yet the finer, I think more elegant lines that have defined the Eternal Dragons have somehow sneaked in, though unusually enough in these very, very fine, very sharp-tipped claws. But if you look at the elegant lines of the fingers here, the grasping claws here, and down the feet, you'll still see the slenderness and the narrowness that you've seen in past Eternal Dragons. Look at that detail, very nice. Now, the overall color is generally blue, and unlike other dragons, there are no contrasting patterns or accents. But fortunately, it's not boring, because there are fades of color within the light blue itself, and there are also these midnight blue undersides, which makes for a very nice complement. You see here down the tail, very nice. Now there's a black that comes off the side of the neck and also the dorsal surface. The claws are solid black. I can just see the lighting bringing out the texture there on the claw. And unfortunately, as you know, I don't like all these runes on these dragons. I might paint that out. But other than this rune, the wings here are almost completely solidly black. And I think that makes for a really nice contrast with the blue. And it's really interesting to me because compared to some of the other dragons that we've had, to be honest, this is a comparatively plain dragon. But the way it's put together, there's just a very nice aesthetic to it. Now once again, detail and texture are as expected, sterling. Now there's a good mix of shape and size in the scales. They're the regular mosaic type scales that fit together. Here you'll see on the side of the neck, the wing arms, the thighs, and the back. But there are also punctuations to break it up. For instance, you see this very unusual texture of the forearms here. That's mirrored in the shins of the animal here. And that interrupts what would be a rather boring pattern with studs and scutes. Here, I really like these detail over here, making it look like, you know, almost like he's wearing gauntlets of some sort. You see here the overlapping plates on the underside of the animal. Down here, each plate again detailed in its own right. And that continues down through the tail, all the way to almost to the tip of the tail. And you'll note that even these double row of spikes that come down the entire length of the animal, if I can show you a close-up, each one is individually textured. So the detail is really, really marvelous. The head is magnificent. Now look at that. The visage is at once frightening and majestic. The detail here, I'd say, leaves nothing to be desired. Now you'll see the face, scalation down the mandible here, down the sides of the neck, and even the throat, you'll see, has a different scale pattern. It's almost as if the scale covering the hard surface of the jaw and the type of scale covering the soft throat of the animal have to be different in order to make it a viably real biological entity. I like that kind of detail, you know, because I've seen many dragons where the scales are just the same throughout, and really doesn't make sense to me that, you know, the kind of scale that would fit around the hard surfaces of the animal would be the same as the kind on the underside, where it's softer and requires more flexibility. The teeth are sharp, very sharp, and individually separated, very well painted. And if you can see up here, the palate of the animal is rich with detail. It's a very nice ridge here. And the tongue, fortunately I don't think you'll be able to see this on camera, but again it's got a different texture to it. And you really need to see this up close to appreciate it. Now there are 3 cranial horns, again, they're intricately detailed with an overlapping structure. See here on the sides, and they're an ochre color, which is echoed down the other spikes that go down the entire length of the animal. And so it really effectively ties everything together, both the head and all the way to the tail. There's a very nice cohesiveness to this design, and I really love it. I forgot to mention here also, if you look at that detail on the feet, it's such an intricately pattern scale design down here, and also up here, the very, very fine and yet very strong fingers. And all this kind of detail that lends a credibility to a sculpture like this, letting you believe that this is actually a depiction of a living animal with all the variations you might expect. Now, the base. The base is truly one of the best bases I've seen in the McFarlane line of dragons. Now, there's a very interesting rock type formation down here. It's hard to see on camera, but it's actually very nicely colored. The very interesting fades and shades to this entire rock formation coming down here. You'll see it's punctuated by vegetation, bits of vegetation, and that's nice enough, but wait, there's more. Now, on the other side, you'll see that there's water that streams down the side, and there's an intermediary ledge, and then it comes down here again, and then nice splashes here. The color is very nice, and again, I'm sorry it's hard to see on camera, but this is a very, very nicely colored base indeed. And really the overall impact of this is to suggest that this dragon has come here for a drink or to fish, or it's made this its territory and warning off potential usurpers. Certainly the quality and the interesting detail on this base elevates this to the status of being a true diorama. So all in all, this dragon truly deserves the McFarlane name, and all the classic features we've come to love from the series: a dynamic pose, the amazing texture and detail, room for speculation, signals that even though the line is ending, it's not ending with a whimper, but with a roar. So that's it for this review, and I'll see you soon, and I mean soon, if I get my tooth fixed without any more mishaps. I'll be back with another dragon in the Series 8 line. There are just 2 more to cover at this point before we're done. And once again, thanks for your patience and all your support, and have a great week ahead.